Great afternoon to you here at Lake Augusta Stadium for the Augusta Jags, and they will be taking on the Coker Cobras in this afternoon start between these two baseball squads. And on the bump for the Jags, starting pitcher who has been a reliever as well, in David Hagelston is on the mound for the Jags. And his first test of the afternoon will be against Riley Hall, excuse me. Riley Hall awaits his first pitch from David Hagelston, and that barely is just an inch outside. Blake Collins, along with my partner Robert Ambrose, here to take you the rest of the way in this afternoon affair. As David Hagelston settles back in for a strike, converting on the outside corner. Fastball a little bit too high. So we go over the rest of the lineup for the Cobras, as that ball is watched into the glove for a ball. So you have Riley Hall, the left fielder, up at the dish as we speak. Following Hall will be Matt Swiperski, the right fielder. And then your three-hole hitter will be Bryson Connor, as you see a walk given up by David Hagelston to start off this game. And then the cleanup hitter for the Cobras is Brooks Estrada. He will be followed by the catcher, R.J. Ball. Then the second baseman will come up to the dish after that, and Thomas Lopez, as the first pitch Hagelston delivers to Swiperski is just a touch inside the strike zone, so he leads off with a strike. And then Larry McCabe, the DH, will follow Connor O'Leary, as that ball is shot right back at the middle. Seeing eye single squeezes through second base and the shortstop position. So right off the bat, pressure being applied to David Hagelston and the Jags. Let's see if he can work around it. And then after Larry McCabe is KJ Curry. And then the opposing pitcher that will hurl for the Cogers is Nick Taylor. Hagelston's trying to navigate through the pressure out on the diamond, as the Cobras started off with a walk, then a solid base hit through the pipe into center field. And Hagelston shoots a dandy of a pitch there to Bryson Connor, the shortstop. He doesn't waste much time after that strike and sends it into right field. And Moore made a phenomenal diving attempt but could not secure the baseball. And so now the bases are juiced with one out. As Hagelston stands and delivers. I believe there's no outs on the inning. This is 1 ball. Fires the next pitch inside corner. Connects with the strike zone. Now they're saying that Moore did make the sliding grab in right, so there is 1 out in the inning. Even with the sliding grab by Moore, the runners at first and second migrate up to second and third. Hall is at third, and Swiperski is at second. One-two pitch, Seeker. As Brooks Estrada shoots down on strikes with a beautiful seeker from David Hagelston. And it's Matt Swiderski on second. Excuse me. And now R.J. Ball gallivants up to the plate. And he stares at a inside pitch that goes nowhere near the strike zone. There are 2 outs in the inning. One on a phenomenal diving stab by Harrison Moore, the right fielder. And then the strikeout delivered to Estrada. Hagelston settling back in nicely with a strike touching the inside corner. Two balls and 1 strike with 2 men down in the inning. As Ball fights it off and battles it in the dirt foul. You got the Yahtzees up at 2 balls, 2 strikes, and 2 men down. And that ball is laced off to the right, foul. As Hagelston is having to work here to get out of the first inning without a run being allowed. Hagelston tries to grace the outside corner there. Just a touch outside. Count is just at 3-2. That doesn't matter as Ball rips one past third base, and Coker, off of that pressure that they mounted in the first, shoots both of those runners home. Off of a double from Ball. That ball, Robert, that was ripped extremely hard.
It was, and it was right after a big strikeout that we saw from Hagelstrand, who struck out Estrada, who's the team's leading hitter, and then Ball, good job backing him up, is the number 5 hitter. And you'd have to think after seeing that double by Ball that you're going to have to, with Estrada and the power that he has, you're going to have to pitch to him if you're the Jaguars, because Ball will back him up just like that.
Absolutely. And ever the aggressor was Ball on that inside pitch. Thomas Lopez is up at the dish now, and he takes after Ball with the aggressiveness at the plate. First pitch, he fouls one back. Second pitch does the same thing, almost in the same exact spot above our heads here in the press box. Hagelston now fires a pinpoint strike on the outside corner, and that shuts the door on the first inning, or Coker's half of the first inning rather, but not before they burst through that door, plating 2 runs, and now the Jags will have their first opportunity at the dish when we come back. Lake Olmsted Stadium is alive and well, and Coker surges out to a 2-0 lead off of the bat of R.J. Ball. It's up to Devin Billardello, Mason Robertson, and Harrison Moore are your first 3 up for the Jags to implement some damage and try to creep up on Coker's 2-0 lead. Devin Billardello walks up to the dish. We've got Nick Taylor, the hurler, on the mound for Coker. And to tell you more about that, here is Robert.
Yeah. So, thank you, Blake. Nick Taylor is on the hill for Coker, as one of the big keys to success for him in this game is to be able to keep the Jaguars off the base paths and, of course, ultimately off home plate. And for the Jaguars this season, in 4 of their 8 wins, they've scored at least 10 runs, and they've scored no fewer than 7 runs a game in any of their wins. So when the Jaguars bats gets hot, that's their key. And obviously for Coker, they want to keep them off the bases and don't give him any opportunities to put up crooked numbers. And if the Jaguars can do that, that will lead to success for them tonight.
Absolutely. Devin Billardello finds himself in a juice count, though, at 3 balls and 2 strikes. Taylor delivers, and that ball's pounded into the ground at short. And that out is recorded off of the hands of Bryson Connor, who transferred it cleanly, threw over to first base, and Coker. Jags made him work for that first out by executing a full count, but ultimately Coker records the first out here in the first inning.
Taylor is a very young pitcher, just a freshman, Blake, and he has an ERA of strikeouts per 9 innings, actually, 540. And he's given up 25 earned runs on the season in his college career as a freshman.
We'll look to build on that and improve that ERA as the game goes on today. Right now, he's going toe-to-toe with Mason Robertson at the dish. And Robertson had a keen eye on the first ball of the at-bat, but then quickly Taylor recovers and induces the first strike of the at-bat. And Robertson, after that, punctures one into right center field. But good tracking ability out there from Brooks Estrada. Acquires the second out. Now, one of the Jags' most consistent hitters at the dish, the right fielder Harrison Moore, who made a phenomenal diving stab to create the first out of the game for Augusta. Back in the top half of the first, moseys on into the dish, and that ball is lifted foul into the Jags dugout. The first pitch he saw was a ball high. And Moore awaits the pitch. Taylor's offering is high and tight for the second ball. Moore had to finagle his way out of that fastball as it was heading straight for his jersey. Taylor, though, comes back firing with the second strike. It's a quick worker is Taylor, not given much time in between pitches. That ball's bounced to third. Long throw, but the execution is flawless, and that will retire the Jags here in the first inning. We mosey on to the second. Coker looks to extend their lead even farther. Connor O'Leary, first baseman, stands in ready to take his hacks against Hagelston. Hagelston looks to settle in here in the second and halt the Cobra offense. Who came in sizzling with runners on first and second. That ball is batted into the ground to first base, and Ty Hobbs makes the play, steps on the bag, and there is your first out in the second inning. McCabe is at the dish. And that ball trickles outside. 2 straight balls delivered from Hagelston. As McCabe has a keen eye. That time, he unleashes on one to left center field. And McCabe will park himself at second base with a double.
Hagelston in the last inning, he ran into trouble early. He walked the leadoff man in Hall and then gave up a single. But he came right back after that and ultimately struck out 2 to end the inning, even though he did give up the 2-run double to Ball. The 2 strikeouts for the second and third out and helped him do his job and keep the inning at minimal damage when he got out of it. And we'll see if that can have any sort of a carryover here.
Absolutely phenomenal job by Hagelston to halt the bleeding in the first inning with only allowing the 2 runs. Now he's stepping up and firing away to KJ Curry, the third baseman. And that first offering was a strike. Collects on the inside corner. Tries to maneuver that pitch to catch the inside corner, but ultimately does not connect. As Hagelston, there's that phenomenal sinker that he possesses, and he had Curry swinging out in front.
Bullpen's already busy for the Jaguars.
And that ball's lifted high in the air to left field. And Jay Penley sees his first action in left field of the game. Cam's under it and puts the kibosh on the second out. So now with that potent first inning for Coker, they are now back at the top of their order. And Riley Hall has his second trip up to the dish. Lightning quick on that swing, but ultimately pushes it too far foul off to the left. And Robert, now the second time through the batting order, Coker's seen kind of what Hagelston has. You wonder what kind of adjustments they'll make to the Hagelston arsenal.
Well, we saw McCabe able to get the double after Hagelston had retired 4 out of the previous 5 hitters he hit, and now he's trying to get out of the jam here once again. And now, yeah, second time through the lineup, it was Hall who drew the leadoff walk to set the tone in the first. And he's heading the count here once again as Hagelston right out of the gate struggled to throw strikes, and Hall was rewarded with the walk. He settled down after that, though. But Hall showing that he doesn't want to swing unless it's the perfect pitch.
Alford with a crucial block there for the Jags. Keeps Coker at bay at second. Hagelston tries to field his position at pitcher. And the Jags turn a double play off of the retiring out at first base. Good job from Robertson to shoot it over to Hobbs.
Well, that's how you get out of a trouble.
A better, brilliant play from Hobbs, realizing that the runner migrating from second to third overran the bag, overturned, and fired behind him to collect out number 3. A tremendous double play by the Jaguars seals the deal on the Coker half of the second inning. The Jags look to bring the aluminum and create fireworks in the second. Jags will enter into the bottom half of the second with their heart of their order up at the dish. And the designated hitter, Zach Goebel, looking to orchestrate a single for the Jags. He will be followed by third baseman Jim Wagner. And then in the hole for the Jags is Ty Hobbs, who had a tremendous double play to get the Jags out of trouble in the top half. We'll see what he can do in the bottom half. But now it is Goebel's turn at the dish. He's down 0 balls and 2 strikes. He does gander at a pitch outside. So it is now 1 ball and 2 strikes. Tell the ball's rotation coming out of Taylor's hand there, and it died before it got to the plate. Good job from Goebel to lay off. It's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Goebel gets under the baseball just a little bit and pops it up to just to the right of the pitcher's mound, and that is where all the infield converges. But that is Connor O'Leary's call to call off everybody. And the first out here in the bottom half of the second is in the books.
And that could have been a disastrous collision with, like you said, all 4 infielders coming into the center of the infield near the pitcher's mound to try and catch that. And for third baseman, Curry almost collided, and he had to duck to get out of the way to allow for O'Leary to make the catch.
Talking about Curry there with the wherewithal to get out of O'Leary's way, with O'Leary taking charge on that pop-up. Curry comes right back and fields his position well with Jim Wagner at the dish. Chopper to third base, and out number 2 is on the board. And now the man up at the dish, who made a critical play for the Jags with a double play at the top half of the second. Stands in at the dish looking to do some damage here and at least get a base runner for the Jags. Taylor winds up and delivers. That ball is rocketed to third base, where Curry had a tough time reading the hop on that particular play. Adjusts his glove well, but pulls O'Leary off the bag at first, and Hobbs is occupying first base, this time on the offensive end.
First base runner of the game for the Jaguars. And you would have to think it's been a very windy day, and it's going to continue to be windy throughout the evening and into tomorrow. But that may have played a factor into the wide throw, as it especially started to kick up once Hobbs hit the ball. And that's just something we'll be keeping track of throughout the game. The American flag out in straightaway center field right above the 400-foot sign, as of right now, is blowing pretty violently, and it definitely not done anytime soon.
It'll work dandily in the favor of Trent Maddox if he can elevate the baseball at the dish. Now, as we speak, he's down a strike, 1 ball and 2 strikes.
It'll be interesting to see defensively how both teams are able to play the wind with the way the ball will be traveling. You would have to think it's going to be, the wind has been changing directions throughout and will continue to do so.
Absolutely.
So there's going to be no real way it's going to be hard to get used to a routine with it. You're going to have to be prepared to adjust back and forth quite a bit.
And it could possibly play havoc on the outfielder for both teams if the ball's elevated. As Maddox stays alive in the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes with a foul off to the left. Maddox awaits. Taylor delivers. Had good back coverage on the outside part of the plate. Elevates that. Secured as well for the left fielder. Bring it back into the dugout is Riley Hall. And the Cobras get out of a late spark with Hobbs on first base. He was never able to advance to second. Coker and Taylor is doing a very good job of pitching around a little bit of trouble. Let's see how Hagelston does on the other side. So the Jags extend the call to the bullpen to left-hander Jordan Kelly as the freshman on the mound for the Jags. As his first batter he will face is Matt Swiderski. lefty on lefty matchup here. As Kelly's first offering sinks down into the dirt. Looked like Swiderski was trying to maybe bunt his way on, or at least draw the third baseman in. He does do the latter, but let's see what he does in the second pitch. Doesn't offer a bunt there and looks at the ball low in the zone. It's 3 straight balls out of the zone for Kelly. Drops in a strike on the outside corner. Trying to battle back from a hitter's count, and he does just that as that ball is comped into the ground. Hobbs over to Kelly, covering first base very well for the Jags. Retires the first out. Bryson Connor is your man at the dish. And he is met with a fastball that looked to be in the strike zone, but it tails a little bit too far outside. Next pitch. Wynn might have caught that baseball and had a hand in it sailing as that pitch hits Bryson Connor, and he is at first base. As Brooks Estrada looks to maybe play some ABC baseball and get him over to second, but the Jags have other ideas in mind as they are set up on the infield for a double play. That takes that out of the equation, though, as that ball is batted up into the air in foul territory at first base, and Hobbs backtracks to create the second out as it falls into the glove. And after the hit batter, who's on first base, a quick out. It's 2 men gone here in the inning. Just what the doctor ordered for Kelly. And he's settling in nicely, Robert, as that first pitch with a strike pegging the outside corner.
It certainly is, and the Jaguars will likely see short outings out of several relievers today after the short outing we saw from Hagelston. Of this being the Wednesday game, try and save their stronger starters for the weekend conference.
Right, there is a strong possibility as that'll be the first game against North Georgia. Harrison Moore is jolted off the bat up into center field. A solid single from Brent Alford. It about nearly took the head off of Taylor, and thank goodness he avoided contact with the baseball. As a shot like that, Robert, you only have a couple seconds to react to it.
Not even, as that was hit right to you, and you're on the pitcher's mound. You know, even in the big leagues, you've seen pitchers get seriously injured in a lot of scary situations.
There's only 60 feet between home plate and the pitcher's mound, and that 60 feet could easily feel like 30, and as we mentioned, a couple of seconds to react to it. Thank goodness Taylor was able to avoid that baseball.
I mean, the ball, when it's hit off the bat that hard, it's coming as fast as a fastball from the pitcher to home plate, and you just know how much time a batter has to react on whether or not they want to swing and be able to make contact on pitches. That's the pitcher's time right there, except the pitcher has to get out of the way or try to make a play.
Absolutely, pitcher that, and then coming off the bat, as you said, it's double the speed when it leaves the pitcher's hand, and then when it makes contact with the bat, it's double the speed coming off the bat. And Taylor is very fortunate to get out of the way, but it may have startled him a little bit as he is yet to find the strike zone here against Jay Penley. 3 straight balls and a pickoff throw ventures into the dirt. And Alford's trying to walk out some cobwebs he experienced with getting back to first. It looks like he'll be okay, though, as he is back ready to go at first base.
Penley's a very versatile player for the Jaguars. We've seen him come in and pitch in relief several times this year. He's starting in left field tonight, and he's also been a designated hitter several times this season. He's still looking for his first hit of the season as a left fielder, but I'm sure he'll happily take a base hit or a walk in this situation.
Knowing how to pitch in his pitcher's eye definitely helped him at the plate there, with watching 4 straight balls coming from Taylor, who, again, we're glad he's okay, but he could have been shaken up as far as location and as far as pitching presence on the mound. As Devin Billardello now back into the batter's box, as the Jags are now back at their top half of the order. So they've cycled around once. Jags have the best pressure they've applied to Coker all game long and playing some ABC baseball as Billardello bunts a beauty over to third base, pristinely placed for Alford and Penley to migrate to second and third. And now, if Robertson can get a single, the Jags quite possibly could tie this ball game up.
And that would be a big start this inning for the Jaguars. As I mentioned before, the keys to the game for them: score lots of runs, and they have a big opportunity here. As like I said, in 4 of their 8 wins this season, they've scored at least 10 runs.
This is the first time this game that the Jags have had a runner on third base. As that ball finds the dirt, and Robertson, the good keen eye not to fish for that baseball, as it's 2 balls and no strikes. Taylor barely misses the inside corner. Forward pitch walk to Mason Robertson. And now the Jags have the bases juice. The one thing, if you're the Jags, that you don't want to have happen is to hit a sharply ground ball to any of the infielders. You want to try to at least hit a line drive or elevate the baseball to try to at least creep back up with 1 run here.
And if you're Coker, you really want to try and get out of the jam. If you're the Cobras, as like I said, if you give up runs to the Jaguars, it's going to come back to haunt you, as the Jaguars' offense is the key to their success. And a lot of times, if you're a defense against the Jaguars, if you're able to force the Jaguars to strand runners, that is a key to success for you as well.
And the way to do that is look for it, especially in this at bat for Taylor, to pitch the majority of his pitches low in the zone to try to be able to get a ground ball. As that ball sails wide of the strike zone. Taylor's got the Jags' most consistent hitter at the plate in Harrison Moore up at the dish. And a sharp ground ball hit to the shortstop, who misplayed that ball, and the Jags, off of an error, shoot back up and tie this ball game at 2-all.
And is that ruled an error? Still waiting for the ruling officially. It was hit directly to Connor at shortstop. And it went right by his side.
Had to battle the sun a little bit and the speed of the ball. He couldn't adjust his glove up to the baseball. But that does secure the Jags 2 runs. And now the Jags have a brand new ball game as we're back at square one.
They've ruled it a base hit.
And then, so now you've got your cleanup hitter, Zach Goebel, looking to continue to battle here as he's down 1 ball and 2 strikes. But he's looking to inflict more damage and shoot both of the runners home from third and second respectively to try to create a 2-run cushion lead. And Goebel thought it was a good idea to look at that fastball tailing inside, but it tailed just over the inside corner, and Goebel walks back to the dugout. A crucial second out for Coker. And now the Jags will hand off the at bat to Jim Wagner. And the ball's fouled off to the left. Wagner decides not to offer at that pitch and lets it sail inside. Taylor's pitch looked pretty good. Just migrates a touch low. It's 2 balls and 1 strike with 2 outs. The Jags come back roaring here in the bottom of the 3rd inning with 2 runs. Make that 3. And they're going to send, or they were going to send the 4th run home, but a heads-up play by the third base coach to hold Moore at third and allow for Wagner to mosey on to second base.
Now you just wonder how much room Taylor is going to have on the mound.
Absolutely. And in a tight ball game like this, with Coker launching out of the gates with 2 runs, and then the Jags come striking right back here in the 3rd with 3. In a tight ball game like this, he might not have too much longer of a leash.
And that one was a home run distance, but he just hooked it foul. It was just a little too far out in front of that one. It
Yeah, you could see that Hobbs liked this pitch and was ready to pounce on that baseball. Quick hands inside, ropes the ball foul.
almost a fair ball, which would have been a home run. It went right into Millage Road.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, Hobbs, even though that foul ball was loud, he's very disciplined at the plate as he's ahead in the count. Now it's a tie count at 2 balls and 2 strikes. As that pitch was swung right through from Hobbs. Taylor's trying to navigate out of perilous waters here. And he does just that with a high fastball. And Taylor does a good job of getting out of the pressure, but not before the Jags strike very quickly on pressure. And at one point they had the bases loaded. The Jags score 3. As we mosey on to the 4th inning, Jags steal the lead 3-2. As we get you set up for the top half of the 4th inning, my play-by-play duties are done for the next 3. And to take you through 4 through 6, here is my partner, Robert Ambrose.
Thank you very much, Blake. The catch is made by Jay Penley in left field as he retires Thomas Lopez, who swings at the first pitch he sees. So just like that, before I even start my job, 1 down in the 4th inning, the top of the 4th. And it's going to bring up Connor Cleary, the first baseman for the Cobras, trailing 3-2, trying to answer back after losing the lead, giving up 3 runs in the bottom of the 3rd. They led 2-0 going into that half inning and now trail at 3-2, looking to answer. And that's exactly what the Jaguars needed to be able to have a chance in this game, and they're able to get runs going in the 3rd to take the lead. And that was against Cobra pitcher and starting pitcher Nick Taylor, who was outstanding in the first 2 innings, allowed only 1 base runner, no hits in 2 shutout innings before he ran into trouble in the 3rd. And we'll see how he has managed in the rest of this game. And same goes for the Jaguar bullpen. And with this being a Wednesday game, a weekday game in college baseball, usually means that you're saving your starters for a conference play series over the weekend, and rightfully so. But one of the beautiful things that you get out of games like these is it kind of has sort of the feel of an all-star game where you have a new pitcher every inning or 2.
Absolutely.
To save the bullpen, to save the strong arms.
And you also, with that, you get to see how your bullpen has improved as well. So a very tough test for the bullpen here tonight. But bright side is the bullpen for the Jags is anchored down the last 2 innings flawlessly. So it's a good start for the Jags. Coker, though, looks to establish runners and stretch across some runs here.
And the catch is made in center field on a line drive for out number 2. So far we're going to knock on wood, but this has been a quick inning so far. And now to the number 9 hitter for the Cobras. It's going to bring up KJ Curry, a 5'8 freshman from Bowie, Maryland, just outside of the nation's capital.
And the wind is simmered down a little bit here at Lake Olmsted Stadium.
Talked earlier just about how the wind is going to play a major factor in some unforeseen way in this game. A ball down low to Curry. It's been windy throughout the day, and it's going to stay windy throughout the night. And it's also cold night for baseball, but that does not stop the loyal fans from coming to Lake Olmsted Stadium to watch baseball. And you got to love seeing that.
And you love what Kelly is doing out of the mound. He's enticing the hitters with pitches that they would like to swing at, but he's also inching it further away to where he can dice up these hitters and create outs with the pitches that they're swinging at, because they think they like it, and then when they get it, they can't do much with it. And then it's a great strategy for the Jags to implement this type of strategy. Is as we've been talking about, there's quickly 2 down here.
And now 3 balls and a strike on Curry, runner on first, and Cleary in 1 out, or 2 outs, I should say. And the wind is just going all sorts of different directions. And 3-1 pitch, called strike on the letters, count is full, and that's going to mean that Cleary's going to take off from first with the pitch. And if you're a batter and you try to put the ball in play, there's a lot you can't control over how the wind carries the ball. It might keep the ball in play. It might carry it over the wall for a home run. It might blow it foul. You just never know with the direction the wind keeps changing. And the 3-1 pitch misses. Curry draws a walk. 2 on and 2 out. We're back to the top of the order, and Riley Hall will be the hitter for the Coker Cobras. Riley Hall is a freshman, and talk about a great start to his collegiate career. Blake, he's hitting .352 in just his first season of collegiate baseball.
Absolutely what you would hope for as a table setter and a leadoff guy for your team, hitting above 300 the Mendoza line and continuing to look sharp for the Cobras, who as we kind of talked about coming into this game, their record does not reflect how they play. Their record's 11-13, but as you're seeing, they are putting up a good fight, and it's nice to see, because that way you see how strong the Jags bullpen has been over the past 2 innings, and with Kelly still on the mound for the Jags, looking to put a close to this top half of the 4th with 2 outs.
The 1-0 pitch misses downstairs. 2 balls and no strikes. Kelly pitched a scoreless top of the 3rd. In relief. The bullpen's still busy for the Jaguars, as you might imagine. The 2-0 pitch misses. 3-0, and that's with the count 3-0 on Hall. All of a sudden, we're another ball away from seeing Jordan Kelly load the bases. With 2 outs in this inning, that's not what the Jaguars want to get into here. And the 3-0 pitch, called strike on the inside corner, 3-1.
And there's also too, as you see the Jags kind of playing standard defense up the middle.
And that's going to be chopped. It's going to stay in play. And the throw to first by Alford in time, and that ends the inning. So the Cobras strand 2. We go to the bottom of the 4th. The Jaguars coming to bat, and they have a 3-2 lead. We'll be back. We welcome you back to the lake on Millage Road, and Trent Maddox, the Jaguar shortstop, looks at ball one to lead off the bottom half of the fourth inning. Maddox is starting at shortstop tonight, and this is probably his strongest position for the Jaguars this season. He's played all over the infield for the most part, but offensively he's hitting .266 as a starting shortstop. He has not recorded a single base hit as a starter at either second base or third base. So second base seems to be where he belongs based on that.
The Jaguars, as that ball is pounded into the ground, and the out is made off of a tremendous diving stab from the second baseman for Coker. But to finish that thought real quick before we move on, the Jaguars have done a tremendous job in recruiting versatility for the next 2 or 3 years, and that's going to help them big time as the years progress.
Yeah, Jay Penley starting in left field tonight. We've seen him come on and pitch out of the bullpen this season. He's played all over the place this season. He's even listed primarily as a right-handed pitcher and an outfielder on the roster, so that shows you that he has come to Augusta specifically to do it all, and he has not disappointed. And we've also seen Zach Goebel, the designated hitter in today's game, come on and pitch on several different occasions for the Jaguars as well.
And let's also not leave out the fact, too, that, so we keep talking about it, Jim Wagner, who has come in this year, played left, played right, played shortstop, and he's at third today. So he is extremely versatile for the Jags as well.
So he's been a very valuable asset for him, that is for sure. 3 balls and a strike to Alford. Here's the pitch. Called strike 2 inside corner, and Alford thought that was ball 4, took a step towards first base, and realizes he has to turn around and do it all over again. Now the 3-2 pitch, swung on, hard hit, foul down the left field line over to the Jaguars bullpen, and the catcher warming up the pitcher with a nice field play on that one. That was close to being fair. Just foul down the left field line. We'll redo the payoff pitch. Here is the pitch, and that's lined into center field. That's going to get down for a base hit. 1 on and 1 out for the Jaguars. And now that's going to bring up Jay Penley.
You love what Alford did there. He just went with the pitch that Taylor pitched him, and he used Taylor's speed against him and just shot it right back up the gut. It's a strategic piece of hitting and a phenomenal piece of hitting there by Alford to get a threat started with 1 out.
Talk about versatility. Jay Penley, he's a starting outfielder tonight. He is hitless on the season as an outfielder. He has pinch ran twice this season for the Jaguars.
He's also come in and pinch hit as well for
Yes,
for
he
them
has.
as well.
He's done it all. But still looking for his first hit as an outfielder. He's a .250 hitter as a designated hitter. That has been his main strength, although it's obviously still a small sample. As the wind has started to pick up, some of the covers over the signs are getting blown off out in the outfield. The 1-1 misses 2 balls and a strike.
Penley has a good disciplined eye at the plate, and it's working out tremendously for him. Up in the count, 2 balls and 1 strike.
Tony Jones, the hometown product from here in Augusta, Jr. is warming up in the bullpen for the Jaguars. 2 balls and a strike here to Penley. Here's the pitch. Runner going. It's through the hole on the left side. That's a base hit. What beautiful small ball by the Jaguars. It's 2 on with 1 out. Alford was running with the pitch. It was a perfect hit and run. And I mean, that was as perfect as it can get, as Connor, the shortstop, was on his way to second to cover as to get ready for a throw down to second to try and get out the runner. And a line drive by Penley right to where the shortstop Connor was before he went over to cover. And in baseball, you call that a hit and run, and it worked to perfection for the Jaguars. 2 on and 1 out.
Absolutely. Perfectly timed, too, as if he would have been stationed where the shortstop normally plays, that possibly would have been a double play. But because of that hit and run, it's a tremendous call from head coach Chris Howell to implement that at the right time to initiate an imposing threat for the Jags here.
Now the pitch to the number 1 hitter, Bill Ardello, looking for his first hit of the night. He's ahead in the count here. 2 balls and no strikes. 1 out here in the 4th. Jaguars, who scored 3 last inning to take the lead, now looking for insurance runs. If they can get it, the 2-0 pitch misses 3 balls and no strikes to Bill Ardello. Jaguars 3 runs off 5 hits and no errors. And the pitch to Bill Ardello misses for a ball, and that is going to load the bases with 1 out, and Mason Robertson will get a chance. He walked his last time up and scored a run. If he walks here, another run will score.
The Jags are making this freshman work. And the thing about it is, too, it's still a quality start for Taylor. And as you see, a conference on the mound between Taylor and the catcher for Coker. But given the situations that he's found himself in for freshmen, he's done pretty well. And it's still a quality start for him. But the Jags have brought their offense to life here in this game, already accumulating 3 in 1 inning and threatening for a huge inning here as well.
Pitch to Robertson, chop to first, step on the bag for the out, throw home, not in time! And Alford, the catcher, scores on the play, so the Jaguars manufacture a run as Robertson grounds out to first. I just wonder if Coker went home first without worrying about the easy out in Robertson, which, don't get me wrong, that was an easy out, they would have been able to get Alford at the plate for possibly an easy force play and get the lead runner and save a run.
And they possibly as well, with what we're talking about and that quick decision, they possibly could have ended the inning on a double play. So the decision by the first baseman was a good decision because you always want to try to get 1 out. You always want to try to secure 1 out on the field.
Absolutely.
But in a situation like that, to try to alleviate an insurance run here, probably at least thinking about coming home and then trying to get to first base would have been the better idea. Even though you're that close to the bag, you still
called strike to Moore, 3-1.
Still would have liked to have seen Coker go home there.
Certainly would have, and Alford had the advantage because he was running on contact with the bases being loaded and him being a potential force out. Had there been a base open, that would have been a totally different story.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
the bases once again are loaded as Moore draws a walk. That's going to bring up the designated hitter, Zach Goebel, 0 for 2 in this game. And we're going to have an infield mound visit, and looks like Coker has a coach coming out. And that might be the end of the night for Taylor. We'll have to wait and see. And it is, as he pitched very well in the first 2 innings, pitched a pair of shutout innings and allowed 1 base runner without allowing any hits. But since then, it's been all Jaguars. 3 runs in the 3rd and a run so far here in the 4th with 2 outs and the bases loaded. He's going to be responsible for all 3 runners currently on the bases. And the new pitcher for the Cobras is Drake Knight. And it'll be a work for Knight to try and get the Cobras out of this jam. There are 2 outs, so he just has to retire 1 guy. But of course, if any of the 3 runners currently on base come home, then those runs will be charged to Taylor, who's responsible for those runners. So statistically, Taylor's night is not yet over.
Nope. And with Knight being a submariner too, kind of like you would see Brad Claunch used to do for the Braves. But with him being a submariner, it changes the arm level for the Jags, and it also changes the eye level for the Jags tracking the baseball. So that could come into play. We'll see what happens, but Coker trying to stop the bleeding here from the Jags.
And it's not going to be easy. He comes in, and it's probably a good matchup against Zach Goebel, but Goebel, a designated hitter, and the Jaguars cleanup hitter, looking for his first hit of the night. That doesn't exactly make it easy for the Cobras, but that's what they're aiming to do nonetheless. But I will tell you, those sidearm pitchers, if they do it perfectly, they can be nasty.
Oh, absolutely. And when you have arms like that, they tend to have tight rotation on their pitches and tight velocity, so it could be just what the doctor ordered for Coker. But if you're the Jags, you want to be able to try to get a pitch that you can handle here and not give in to Knight's velocity and his rotation and swing at something that will acquire an out for the Cobras.
The 1-0 is fouled away, 1-1 to Zach Goebel, and with more speed at first, and the fact that there are 2 outs, expect the runners to run on contact. That's advantage basers. On a hit in the gap, it's possibly going to be 7-2.
Absolutely.
And Goebel looks at a strike, 1-2. And for Goebel, it's now game time with 2 strikes. Jaguars return to the lake this weekend for a 3-game series. We'll tell you more about it in a little bit. The 1-2, check swing. It's a called strike 3 regardless of whether he went or not. And the Jaguars leave the bases loaded, but they do get a run across and lead it 4-2 as we go to the 5th inning here at Lake Olmsted Stadium. We'll be back. And we are back at the lake on this beautiful, cold, and windy day. Here at Lake Olmsted Stadium, it's the top half of the 5th inning. Jaguars with a 4-2 lead. And Jaguars defensively, they'll face the 2-3-4 hitters of the Coker Cobras. And it's going to be Swiperski leading it off. He's 1 for 2, a single and a run scored in this game. The Cobras with 2 runs off of 3 hits and an error. since they scored 2 runs in the first, they only have 1 hit in the rest of this game until this point. Here in the 5th, 1 ball and no strikes to Swiperski, and that looks at a ball, 2 balls and no strikes, and a pitch upstairs. After Swiperski, it's going to be Bryson Connor, and then the number 4 hitter, the cleanup hitter for the Cobras, Brooks Estrada. Due up third this inning. 2 balls and 1 strike now to Swiperski. And now the pitch, and that misses 3 balls and a strike. Jaguars with a new pitcher into the game. It's Tony Jones, the right-hander from right here in Augusta. Went to nearby Westside High School, pitching for his hometown team. That's always a thrill. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Swiperski. And now the payoff pitch on its way. Down the left field line, hooking. If it's fair, it's going to be trouble, and it is. Lands just on the right side of the left field foul line and sliding into second safely with a leadoff double. Swiperski, that's his 2nd hit of the night. He has a single and a double. He's a triple and a home run away from the cycle. And he's on second to start the 5th inning with nobody out. That's going to bring up Bryson Connor. Hitless in this game so far. Flew out to right field his first time up on a sacrifice fly and was hit by pitch his 2nd time up in the 3rd inning. And swinging bunt grounds it right back to Jones, and Jones fires it over to first in time. So that's the 2nd sacrifice out by Connor in this game, and the first out here this inning in the 5th advances Swiperski to 3rd. So runner on 3rd now with 1 out. That's going to bring up Brooks Estrada, the cleanup hitter for the Cobras, and what a season this man has had at home plate for the Cobras in 2018. He is the team's leading hitter. 395, just 5 points below 400 at the plate this season. Ahead in the count here, 1-0. He's hitless tonight, however, 0 for 2. Played in all 24 of the team's games so far, and he grounds one to second, throw to first in time, but Swiperski sneaks home, and it's a 1-run game on an RBI sacrifice ground out by Estrada. And so far this inning, the Cobras have used the A, B, and C's of baseball to perfection to manufacture home Swiperski as a way to score the run to make it a 1-run game after Swiperski doubled. That's going to bring up the catcher for the Cobras, R.J. Ball, and he's now behind in the count, 0-1. Ball, a junior on the season, a .265 hitter. He's got a triple to his credit and is tied with the team lead and 3 home runs. And he's behind in the count here, 0-2. Robert Ambrose alongside Blake Collins here on the Augusta University Athletics Network on YouTube. Time is called. Once again, the Jaguars will have a 3-game series this weekend here at the Lake against North Georgia. Peach Belt Conference action. Game 1 on Friday at 6 o'clock. Game 2 Saturday at 4. And Game 3, the series finale, Sunday at 1 o'clock. Swing and a miss on the 0-2. Down on strikes is Ball. And the inning is over. The Jaguars lead at 4-3 as they come to bat. In the bottom of the 5th, we've reached the midway point of this game on the Augusta University Athletics Network on YouTube. We'll be back. coming to bat, leading at 4-3. Lately, their bats have been hot, and they have the third baseman, Jim Wagner, leading off. And even though he's not the leadoff hitter in this game in the starting lineup for the Jaguars, I don't think the Jaguars could have had a better guy leading off in an inning than Jim Wagner.
Excellent hitter to lead off an inning, combining speed, contact, hit for average, and some power as well.
And if he gets on base and you're the Cobras on defense, watch out. He's going to cause you a lot of stress and make things happen for the Jaguars. The 1-0 pitch misses, 2 balls and no strikes. He's going to be followed by Ty Hobbs and then Trent Maddox.
And one attribute that he doesn't really get a lot of credit for Wagner is his discipline at the plate. His keen eyes has worked him into hitters' counts, and he's taken advantage of them.
And he grounds out for out number 1 to first base. And that's going to bring up Ty Hobbs. A huge first out for the Cobras, keeping Wagner off of the base with Hobbs coming up. Off of the bases with Hobbs coming up. The Jaguars, in innings 3 and 4, the innings where they've scored all their runs, they scored 3 in the third and 1 in the fourth, combined to see 15 hitters come to plate in those 2 innings. They saw 8 come to the plate in the third and 7 in the fourth, and hit by the first pitch he sees is Hobbs, and he's going to take first base. It's going to bring up Trent Maddox, 0 for 2 in this game. The wind starting to pick up once again, blowing out towards right center field, and once again we're seeing the covers of the signs in the outfield starting to blow off as well. I tell you, if it's this windy in a couple weeks with the Masters, that's going to be interesting.
Absolutely. You may actually find a golf ball or two hit over this way with as much wind as blowing today. It may redirect it all together and put it right here at Lake Olmsted Stadium. You just never know.
You just never know. Augusta National, where the Masters takes place every year, it's not far from here, just on Washington Road.
Just maybe, if any, depending on traffic, 5 or 10 minutes up the road.
And traffic will get a little crazier over the next couple weeks. So just driving by there, coming here, seeing all the setup, and that's how you know it's a big deal when it's still 2 weeks away. And they're setting up. But what an outstanding event. And what an outstanding event we have here at Lake Olmsted Stadium between the Jaguars and the Cobras. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Maddox here in the bottom of the 5th. 1 on, 1 out. 4-3 Jaguars. Sidearm pitch, chopped foul. Good battle here. We're seeing pitcher is Dale Knight for the Cobras, and he's a sidearmer, and we're seeing he likes to try and keep the ball down low with the sidearm.
Absolutely. Piercing low balls can...
That one misses inside, and it's full count to Maddox.
Can create ground balls, can create havoc, and also induces double plays from time to time, and that's what Knight is looking to induce here with the infield at double play depth.
And it would end the inning if he can get one, but this one's blooped into the left. That's down. Throw to second. Not in time. Hobbs is safe as he had to tag up. Unsure if that was going to be caught. And when it dropped, he took off towards second and just barely gets in. And that is a base hit for Maddox. 2 on and 1 out. Once again, one of those double plays would end the inning with Alford coming up.
McCabe, in trying to retrieve the strike to second, his foot wandered off the bag, and even if he'd have caught that, the Jags would have been safe at second because his foot was off the bag.
And the pitch to Alford, first pitch swinging, popped up right side foul territory, and the catch is made in foul ground for an easy second out, and that's going to bring up Jay Penley. Penley last time up got his first hit of the game as a left fielder for the Jaguars this season. We've mentioned several times earlier on this broadcast how he's a very versatile player. He's played all over the place, and he's done everything from pitching to playing in the field, outfield, infield, to pinch running and pinch hitting.
It'll be interesting, too, as he launches one to the left. It'll be interesting as well to see how he does battling the shadows here that's covering Lake Olmsted Stadium at home plate to where the pitcher's mound is in the sun. Usually that helps out the pitcher. It'll be interesting to see how Penley manages this with him hitting now, because it usually helps him on the mound when he's pitching for the Jags.
Ball and a strike on Penley. And the 1-1 misses 2 balls and 1 strike. For the next month of the season, the Jaguars are in an every other week cycle in terms of a home series. They play for this homestand tonight, Wednesday, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, a 3-game series, away for the whole of the next week, and then 2 weeks later, during Masters Week, same thing, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, at home with USC Aiken here for a 3-game series, Masters weekend, and that's grounded back to the pitcher, underhand toss to first in time. That ends the inning. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about the Jaguars' schedules. We go to the 6th on the Augusta University Athletics Network on YouTube. 4-3 Jaguars. We'll be back. Welcome you back here to the lake. Top of the 6th, 4-3 Jaguars. Leading off for the Cobras, it'll be Thomas Lopez. The Cobras, 11-13 on this season. They have been a hot team, however, as of late. And looking to carry that over here in this one at Lake Olmsted Stadium. The first pitch to Lopez misses for a ball, 1-0. As I mentioned last inning, the Jaguars for the next month, and also dating back the last several weeks into last month, they've been on an every other week cycle for home games Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, as they have North Georgia coming to town for a 3-game set starting this Friday over the weekend, and Masters weekend USC Aiken comes for a 3-game series the 6th, 7th, and 8th, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, with hosting Earthshine on Wednesday night here at the lake. And 2 weeks after that, they host Payne College on Wednesday the 18th, and then Georgia College comes to town the 20th, 21st, and 22nd for Friday, Saturday, Sunday as well. That wraps up the next bunch of home games for the Jaguars. The 2-1 pitch, line foul down the left field line. I got to tell you, hitters at this park love hitting the ball that direction.
Absolutely.
Down the line.
Absolutely. And it's a tribute to how well they see the ball, especially inside. I mean, they're pulling their hands in with great speed, turning on any inside pitch. I mean, they, especially with some of these Coker hitters, are feasting on inside pitches.
The 2-2 pitch, hit it in the air, pop fly right center field, and Harrison Moore makes the catch. And that is the first out of the top of the 6th inning. It's going to bring up Cleary, 1 out and nobody on. Connor Cleary, the first baseman for the Cobras. And we look ahead at what goes on Masters weekend in a couple weeks from now. It's no accident that a 3-game series is scheduled with USC Aiken of all teams. That's a team that obviously hotels will be completely booked throughout the area, and USC Aiken only a 30-minute drive away across the border. They will not need a hotel. They can commute all 3 days.
Right.
So that's how they're able to do that.
Right.
Although traffic will certainly be interesting.
Yeah. They there's a way to from South Carolina going through North Augusta to come across from downtown and come up Broad Street from downtown up here. So that might be the direction that they wind up taking to avoid Washington Road and the madness that will ensue on Washington Road during Masters Week.
Sure, they have it all figured out. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Cleary. Wind starting to pick up now, blowing the straightaway center field. We'll see how it carries if you get a fly ball. Watch out. Swing and a miss. A nasty pitch by Tony Jones. Down on strikes, Cleary 2 out here in the 6th.
Phenomenal looking sinker there by Jones. Just absolutely diced him up extremely well. Started with a couple of pitches up in the zone and then bottoms it out with a sinker to strike with the K.
Batter now is Larry McCabe, a graduate transfer from Virginia Beach. Transfer from George Washington. He swings at the first pitch, pops that one up. Who's going to make the catch? It will be Bill Ardello calling off 2 teammates. And a 1-2-3 inning. The first defensive 1-2-3 inning for the Jaguars as we go to the bottom of the 6th at the Lake. They lead it 4-3 on the Augusta University Athletics Network on YouTube. We'll be back. And we welcome you back to the Lake. It's the bottom of the 6th inning. The Jaguars will start the inning with the top of the order. Devin Bill Ardello, who made the catch in the top half of the inning for the 3rd out, now comes to plate. We'll see if that catch is a sign of things to come here. Looks at a strike, 0-1. Both pitchers on both sides, for all the pitchers that we've seen so far, they do not take much time in between pitches.
Not at all. And for not only that, but both bullpen squads have come in and shut the door on the opposing offenses. So brilliant work from both bullpens today.
Ball and 2 strikes on Bill Ardello. As you can tell, both teams going into this game knew that they were going to rely heavily on the bullpen, with it being a weekday college game. As I mentioned earlier, how important the bullpens are in these weekday games, and both bullpens knew about that going in and were certainly ready to go.
And especially with this being non-conference too. I mean, as far as Coker and with they play conference games, you want to try to line up, as we've been mentioning, you know, your 1, 2, and 3 starters. And for the Jags with North Georgia, that's evident when they come calling Friday, and it may have a good possibility of seeing the starter that took Livingston for the last homestand on Friday in a dandy of a game. Matt Meeks for the Jags, maybe on the bump Friday.
2-2 just misses inside. Bill Ardello gets out of the way, avoids the hit by pitch. Full count. If you're the Jaguars and facing Knight, he's one of those guys. He's struggled this year, but he does on the season despite a 5.27 ERA, he does have 8 strikeouts in this being his 8th appearance, so he averages over a strikeout per inning out of the bullpen this inning. If you're the Jaguars, if you're able to make contact against him, that can lead to success.
Oh, absolutely. And the way he's pitching, it lets you know that Coker sometimes will use him in a specialist role as well to get out of an inning, but extremely prevalent at keeping the ball down in the zone, making the Jags try to get him to elevate his pitches. But the bad thing about that is if you're the Jags and you swing at some of the pitches that he's offering, and when he gets ahead of the count, then that poses the issue of you can't really be pitch selective at that particular point if you're behind in the count. Let's say 0 balls and 1 strike, like the Jags are now. You can't really be as selective at the dish, and that poses a problem. And that's where a lot of times your specialist and your low ball pitchers who thrive in that area are so successful.
Robertson advances Bill Ardello to second on a ground out to first. So 1 gone here in the inning. Jaguars looking for as much insurance runs as they get. I think the Jaguars, like I said, they need as much as they can get offensively. Here's Harrison Moore. He's made some nice catches in the outfield in this game. He looks at a ball inside. Bill Ardello advances to third on what should be a wild pitch. And now the Jaguars do not necessarily need a base hit in order to score him, and that's going to bring the Cobra infield in, as they do not want their deficit to be extended any further. The Jaguars would love to extend their lead. The 1-0, and he is hit by pitch. Moore hit by the pitch and was on his way to first immediately. Hit on the leg. And it's runners at the corners now with 1 out. It's going to bring up Zach Goebel, 0 for 3 in this game, a pair of strikeouts. Big RBI opportunity for him here. He struck out his last time up, ended up striking out with the bases loaded to end the 4th inning. And he struck out with a runner on in the 3rd as well. Barring a double play ball, Jim Wagner will hit next. We're in the bottom of the 6th at the Lake. That misses 1-0. This the 2nd day of spring officially. And the 1-0 misses inside.
If the Jags can time up and know what pitch is coming, I would not be surprised here to see Moore take off for second, because as he does there.
And he does before Knight started his windup, and he's in a rundown. And with the runner on third, we'll see how this goes. Throw to second, and Moore is tagged out and going nowhere. Staying at third is Bill Ardello. A bad base running mistake for Moore as Bill Ardello stays at third. And now, all of a sudden, that drastically changes the complexion of this at-bat for Goebel, who suddenly he needs a base hit at the very least to score Bill Ardello. And now the Cobras infield can move back into normal depth with 2 outs.
That's the difference between seconds, because if he'd have let Knight throw it, he would have had second easily.
That's why if you're trying to steal, you got to time it so you wait until the pitcher starts his motion towards home plate.
Right. And not only that, but with the runner at third, he probably would have made it without a throw, because you want to, at this point, with Coker being down by a run, preserve that run over at third base. So Moore could have swiped second easily, possibly without a throw, because if you throw it to second base, it gives the Jags more time at third to venture on home and put more pressure on the defense.
That's through the hole on the left side, a base hit, and the much-needed insurance run has happened for the Jaguars. Bill Ardello scores from third, easily walking home, and Goebel with his first hit of the game, and it's a big one, an RBI single. 5-3 Augusta here in the sixth. And the inning extended for Jim Wagner, the third baseman. Called strike to Wagner, 0-1. And now the pitch lined in the air to center field, and the catch is made as that stays just high enough, and the inning is over, but not before the Jaguars add another run. Take a 5-3 lead. We go to the seventh here at the lake. We'll be back. Welcome back to the lake. We start the top of the seventh, and for the final 3 innings of play-by-play, I'm Robert Ambrose. I'm going to turn it over to Blake Collins. Take it away, Blake.
Thank you, Robert. KJ Curry is in for the Cobras as he stares at a first pitch strike.
Jammed there.
Absolutely jammed. High fastball that Curry could not slow down his swing on. Check swing, but went right over the top of our heads. It's quickly down 0 balls and 2 strikes, and just as we say that, strike 3 is implemented on a swing and a miss on a pitch that touches the outside corner. Riley Hall walks back up to the dish for his next attempt. And his first pitch he sees is a ball high. Might have held on to that ball too much beyond his release point, as that ball sails underneath the feet of Hall. And for Tony, he's having a little bit of difficulty trying to locate the strike zone as it's 3 straight balls. And make that a 4th as Hall sets the table really well as he's standing on first with a free pass. Matt Swiderski for the Cobras migrates up to the dish, looking to maneuver Hall over to second. Jags anchor in the infield at double play depth. Jones begins this at bat off with a strike. Good curve there from Tony Jones. Sets him out in front of the count at 0 balls and 2 strikes. Jones fires. Ball dips out of the strike zone and into the dirt. Trying to get Swiderski to swing over the top of that pitch, and hopefully, if you're the Jags, bat it into the ground to where you can navigate 2 outs out of that swing. But that's thwarted, and now Swiderski's back to an even count at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Hall fakes like he's taking off to second. Might have done its due diligence there as that ball ventures outside of the strike zone for Tony Jones, who's looking back at a juiced 3 balls and 2 strike count. And that ball is skewed into the ground. Robertson decides to go for the sure 1 out, and Swiderski is off the base paths at first base. A productive out, though, for Swiderski, as Hall does manage to maneuver up to second base. And then now the bat is in the hands of Bryson Connor to see if the Cobras can wrangle in a run here. And that ball skied up to first base. Hobbs camps under it and deletes the threat and any runs from coming across here in the 7th as we migrate to the bottom of the 7th. The Jags looking to extend this lead even more. The Cobras fine-tune their defense with Lake Lybrand over now stationed at third base. And the first batter we'll see at third base is first baseman, the other hot corner, in Ty Hobbs. And that pitch delves into the strike zone. Released the second pitch a little bit too much over the top, and it had too much sinking action and ventures in ball territory. Phenomenal pitch execution, and target is on the inside corner. Target acquired and target delivered. You've got 1 ball and 2 strikes. Tried to navigate to that outside corner in a really good framework there by RJ Ball. You can't frame that one up to be a dandy as that ball dips almost into the dirt. It's 3 balls and 2 strikes. Wind up in the pitch. Looks to settle in on the outside corner, but cannot find the location to tee up the outside corner, and the Jags are in business.
Jaguars, they've had a good day at the plate, especially since the start of the 3rd inning. However, this is only the 2nd time this game they've had the leadoff runner reach base.
It looks good, and Maddox is continuing with very good ABC Manufacturing baseball, but a lapse in recognition of what the offense was trying to do by the Cobras. Allow Maddox to reach first with nobody covering first base on a cycle play. So Maddox reaches first base, and Brent Alford now shoots up to the dish in a critical role if the Jags look to pierce through here with more runs.
Last time, and the only other time they've reached base with the leadoff hitter, they scored 3 runs in the inning.
And on that last cycle play, or on the wheel play, the first baseman and the pitcher did all they could, but the second baseman forgot to cover first base, and that is how Maddox wound up on first. Alford pulls back on a bunt to the delight of the crowd, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike. Phenomenally placed bunt there from Brent Alford. And the Jags have 2 runners in scoring position, one 90 feet and one 180 feet from home plate.
Pinch hitter is Caleb McElwaney, batting for Penley, and potentially wouldn't be surprised if in the top half of the 8th we see some double switches for the Jaguars defensively. McElwaney is a catcher primarily,
Right.
although don't be surprised if the Jaguars have him show some versatility considering what we've seen from them this year.
Absolutely. And
Right.
I mean, with them realizing the time in the ball game that it is, and the imperative runs that are on base, what a better time to pinch hit and see if you can garner those 2 insurance runs and place them on the board and have a 4-run advantage. Uno's all across the board at 1 ball, 1 strike. We'll make that 2 strikes now. And 1 out. That pitch beautifully distributed over the inside corner. And the threat from the Jags caused the infield to come in, and it works to perfection for the Cobras as that drawn in infield halts that runner at third from coming across. And not only that, but there are 2 outs in the inning as well. So now the Jags look to spark more offense from the top half of their order, and Devin Billardello looks to add 2 more RBIs to his RBI total. Two straight balls on the at bat, and Billardello's in a prime position to do some damage ahead in the count. 2 balls and 1 strike. Change of speeds on that looked like a curveball that didn't curve too much, and Billardello fights it off foul off to the right. Every swing Billardello is taking, he's improving his timing on that pitch. Just a tad late, but able to foul it back off. Tried to cinch in the outside corner and cannot do so. It's 3 balls and 2 strikes. Payoff pitch is skied over to first base in foul territory, and the inning comes to a close. The Jags threatened, but were unable to escort any runs across the dish. The Cobras are down to their last 6 outs. We'll see you on the other side. Brooks Estrada migrates up to the dish here in the top half of the 8th inning. As we mentioned before, McElhaney came in to pinch hit for Jay Penley, who is in left field. He initially takes a seat, and he will not be back in the ball game as Patrick Watson takes over the reins in left field, and that also leaves Charlie Cochran on the mound for the Jags as the new left-handed pitcher.
And Estrada trying to put the tying run at home plate. Cleanup hitter hitting .395 on the season, has played in every single game so far this season for the Cobras. He's a senior. He's a veteran. He's got 2 home runs, 4 doubles, 2 triples, so 8 extra base hits on the season as well.
The next strike will be his last as he's down 1 ball and 2 strikes, but he doesn't let that affect him as he sends one soaring into center field. Bill Ordello, phenomenal tracking, gallivants under it and makes the grab for the first out. Now Cochran delivers to R.J. Ball. That is the first ball of the at-bat. And that ball is pelted foul off to the right, hitting the roof of the Trussels here at Lake Olmsted Stadium over the bleachers. Harrison Moore retreats back a few steps off of that fly ball into right and corrals the second out. Thomas Lopez will be your next contender at the dish. 2 really good out pitches from Cochran. And he delivers first pitch strike. Cinches in the second strike of the at-bat, nailing the outside corner just like he did on the first pitch. Change of speeds. Cannot find the strike zone there. That fastball was deadlocked for the center of the plate, and a late reaction to it as that ball was muscled foul. The Jags bullpen this game has really come to pitch, only allowing 1 run through 7 innings. And Cochran looks to make it 8.
And he does.
And he does just that as that pitch was swung right through, and the Cobras cannot lock and load and secure any runs. The Jags look to anchor in some insurance runs. You know what to do when we come back. only do we have a new pitcher on the mound for Coker, but we also have a new battery as well. And Charlie Bergares is calling the pitches behind the plate, and not only that, but pitcher he's calling the pitches for is Griffin Hollifield. And Hollifield, the first 2 pitches of his night are out of the strike zone. There's the first pitch strike. Widener's still working that count, though. It's 3 balls and 1 strike. Or excuse me, Mason Robertson is working the count.
Wagner's due up 4th this inning.
Absolutely. And if anybody gets on, he's a great hitter to try to usher in some insurance runs.
Jaguars have several good hitters coming up.
And that will be the case as Mason clobbers one into right center field, and the ball dies before the center fielder or right fielder could collide and converge to create the out. So Robertson is at first base. And Harrison Moore is the batter looking to continue this threat. ABC baseball at its finest as Moore, with a very productive out, bunched Robertson over to second. Small ball works wonders as Zach Goebel stands in. Small ball definitely allows the offense to put constant pressure on the pitcher whenever you get base runners on board. And that's what the Jags are doing with the runner at second now, and only 1 out.
That one came right close to where we are.
Almost had our cameraman making a diving attempt at it too.
He sure did.
Tim's one of the best cameramen we have here at Augusta University.
He's a legend.
Absolutely.
And he's outside getting the great shots that you've all been able to see in the cold weather today as well.
So Goebel's trying to battle back from a 2-ball and 2-strike count. Pickoff attempt with Robertson sliding his hand in safely. Phenomenal pitch there by Griffin, and that sends Goebel back to the dugout. As we mentioned earlier, with Robertson on base, it does allow Jim Widener to come up in an RBI situation. And Widener doesn't offer at the first pitch much, and he didn't there, and it came back to bite him. He's down a strike. Evens the count on a waste pitch out of the zone. And that ball's launched into right field on a line. Screaming liner that is dealt with and in the glove. And the 8th inning officially comes to a close. The Cobras are down to their last. 3 outs. Outs 25, 26, and 27 are on the other side of this break. So Zach Goebel with a chance to light up the record books with a save for the Jags, but he has some tough hombres to try to battle against here. First man up to the task is Connor Cleary. Goebel, you see the speed on that fastball. Great velocity, but it tails low. Target acquired and target seized on the outside. Goebel's another one of the Augusta University players that can pretty much do it all and is versatile. As you see him here pitching, he's also been the DH for the day on the offensive part of the Jags as well. And that ball is skied into right field. Moore battles the lights and comes down with a catch. Goebel's dealing with the bottom third of the Cobra lineup, and Larry McCabe is the next man to try to do some damage and get on base. Jags are smelling blood in the water with two more outs to get. Goebel, however, is behind the count a ball. full count that Goebel has encountered on the mound. A swing and a miss straight through that splitter, and that is his ace pitch today, and now the Cobras are down to their last 3 strikes. Goebel fires in the first strike. Goebel cannot find the strike zone there. Another waste pitch from Goebel locates down and away. 2 balls and 1 strike. Trying to convert on the lower part of the strike zone, but barely misses. Goebel now wheels and deals. Fastball tries to leach onto the outside corner, but misses. And Riley Hall stands back in. Cobras have what they're looking for in the tying run at the plate.
Well, started with Curry drawing the number 9 hitter for the Cobras, drawing the 2-out walk in Curry. And now flip the card back to the top of the order.
And if Goebel has anything to say about it, he'll shut the door right here.
He's ahead in the count.
He's got 2 more strikes to get. And that ball fishes low. Just below the kneecaps.
Nasty pitch.
Phenomenal splitter there by Goebel. Has Riley swinging at nothing but air. It's 1 ball and 2 strikes. That pitch didn't quite make it to Alford. It bounced in front of him. He does a really good job at blocking pitches like that, but shifts his weight just a little late, and it went to the backstop. And now the Cobras are staring at a runner in scoring position with 2 outs. Now, if you're the Jags, you're not necessarily worried about the runner in scoring position. You're concentrating on getting this final strike. And they do just that and cement a 5-3 victory here at Lake Olmsted on this Wednesday evening.
Fantastic game and just an outstanding pitching performance by the Jaguars, who were able to rest their primary starters for what should be an exciting weekend series coming up against North Georgia. We cannot wait for that weekend series beginning Friday, and just what a performance. Great defense by the Jaguars in the 5-3 win, and what great offense, doing just enough to take the lead in the 3rd inning after a rough start, scoring 3 runs and add a run the following inning, and then a big insurance run in the 6th inning. It was definitely enough to get the Jaguars the win today. And this is the first win for the Jaguars this season. They've scored less than 7 runs. This is the fewest amount of runs they've scored in a victory this season. And in a sense, that's a positive. Obviously, the Bats have been hot in a lot of games, but to see the pitching win the game for them like it did in a sense today, I think that's going to make Coach Howell very happy.
Oh, absolutely. And this is the first time that we've seen that the opposing offense didn't or could not figure out the Jags bullpen. The Jags bullpen was electric tonight, and they shut the door and sealed the deal on this victory. And you couldn't have asked for a better setup going into North Georgia on Friday.
Absolutely not, and we can't wait for that as the Jaguars will come into that game on a high note with a little